Everyone, no matter who they are, has privileges. Some people have more privileges than others, and some people have more non-privileges than others. I recognize that I have some privileges. I'm grateful that I have the benefits from them, but I do recognize, other people don't. And that's really not fair. One of the privileges I have is that I have pale skin. So when I moved into my neighborhood, people kind of judged me for being younger, but they really didn't judge me or they didn't fear me. So they were a little bit more accepting of me because of that. I do recognize that I am an attractive female. So that comes with a lot of benefits. When I used to work in sales, I would actually experiment. How can I better make sales? So I would dress down. I would just kind of wear a t-shirt and some jeans, and I would wear no makeup, and I would just put my hair in a ponytail. That's it. And I noticed on those days my sales numbers, because I worked face to face with people, went down. On days that I would spruce myself up, put makeup on, do my hair, wear nicer clothes, dress up a little bit, I tended to communicate with people better. People calmed down when they would come talk with me, and I made much better sale numbers. I also recognize that I'm an American, and in this world, that comes with a lot of privileges that I just get because I was born here. There's so many things that come with being an American. I get to buy anything I want, really. I can drive a car. I can vote. I have the ability to really get almost whatever job I want. So there's just tons of things that come from just having privileges. But I also recognize that I have some non-privileges that are a little bit different than what other people would have or expect. Like there's definitely going to be some privileges or non-privileges that come from being female. There are some definite non-privileges that come from the way I look. People assume that I might be stuck up or that I might not be smart because of how I look. There's a non-privilege that people don't really talk about. My identity. It's something I've had a very hard time with most of my life. Started in second grade. On the Texas standardized test, I wrote my name, and then there was a box where I had to fill in a bubble telling the state what race I was. And back then, the question was, are you African American? Are you Native American? Are you of any Asian descent? And then if you were white, you would mark white, but it specifically said not Hispanic. And the other choice was, if you're Hispanic, it specifically said you're Hispanic, not white. I knew that I was Hispanic. I didn't really know what that meant. I also knew I was white, and again, at second grade, I didn't really know what that meant. But now I had to choose. What was I? I'm not Hispanic, but I'm also not white, or not white. So neither of these fit me. Well, I asked the teacher, and she was just like, just write white. And I felt like that was wrong, because I felt like I was leaving a part of me behind. Or I wasn't allowed to acknowledge a certain half of myself. And this is something that I struggled with for most of my life in the Texas education system. I was, according to the U.S. Census, white but ethnically Hispanic. But according to the state of Texas, I was racially Hispanic, but not white. So I was not allowed to be white in some circles, and then I'm white in other circles. And so that was very confusing to me until I was, an adult, and then I moved away, and the census is a little bit more clear. Ethnically, I'm Hispanic, and racially I'm white. But that doesn't make sense to me, because there are family members of mine who physically are not pale. So do they mark on their forms ethnically Hispanic but black? Because we're not black, but we're not white. So we're not treated the same socially because of what we look like, but on paper we're going to be listed the same. It just, that to me doesn't make sense. And when you try to look at the definitions given by the census for why they're asking you to fill the form out this specific way, it gives you nothing. It explains ethnicity as, oh, well, you answer ethnicity based on if you're Hispanic or not. Well, there are hundreds of ethnicities, but they only care about that one. And for me, it just doesn't really make sense. And trying to figure out my identity racially and ethnically, just, it has always been a very confusing thing, because depending on who's defining what is what I'm allowed to be on paper. And what people commonly see when they see those forms, that's kind of how people learn how to categorize race and ethnicity and those different identities as well. So when people are like, well, on the census, according to that, you're ethnically Hispanic, you're racially going to be this, that, or the other. And that has influence and that has impact on people. And it just, I think that it's very confusing, and it's something that a lot of people don't really give really attention to. So historically, you had to be white in order to be considered a citizen. You had to be male in order to be considered a citizen. So for people to count, they really tried to accentuate or claim whiteness. And when the United States took over the part of the country that used to be Mexico, part of the agreement was that all Mexican citizens who were on that land then became U.S. citizens. And that meant that all of these people were then classified as white because of coming from this land, even though people did not actually consider them white. My grandparents, great-grandparents, were in segregated schools, but legally they were classified as white because Hispanic and Mexican was not on the census at that time. And it's weird to have your identity decided by people outside of you on a regular basis.